All right, I think we're going to get started. So hi, everybody. Welcome to the C4 Analytics and Facebook webinar, Building a Winning Strategy for Your Dealership, with our Facebook Partnering Manager, Brent Paris.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Mary, for having me, and C4. As Mary said, my name is Brent Paris. I'm on the Facebook automotive team out of the Austin, Texas office. I've been with Facebook over a little over, close to 3 years now, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
And I am Mary Hubley. I am the social media manager here at C4 Analytics, and I have been here for just a little over 5 years. Great. And yeah, we're excited to start this.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and kick it off, everybody. I have a bunch of awesome information to share with each of you. So let's take a quick snapshot of our agenda before we get started. So the first place we're going to start is the evolution of mobile. We'll talk about how that little thing that's constantly on you 24/7 is changing not only the way we interact with each other, but how you should be interacting with your potential customers. That'll bleed kind of into the value of Facebook and how Facebook comes in. We'll dive into targeting on Facebook. We'll talk about the ad formats, and more importantly, like, how do you stand out in today's world as well. And then at the very end, Mary's going to wrap a nice bow on this, kind of walk you through some C4 strategy when it comes to really impacting the entire life cycle when it comes to the auto consumer journey. So we have all that to look forward to. So let's go ahead and jump right in and start with the evolution of mobile. So I think this is something that can't be denied or ignored by anyone who considers themselves a marketer. It's in today's world. It's mobile devices have completely changed the way we connect with each other. And to no surprise, I think the reason why it's changed is just how rapidly this change has come about. So this is why I always start here with the evolution of mobile, because the difference between advertising now and advertising in the past is really that accelerated rate at which the industry is moving. So if we just look at the radio, it took radio 38 years to reach about 50 million users. TV cut that in half. At 13 years, it took to reach 50 million. But when we look at the mobile phone, in 10 years, it reached over 2 billion people. So this shift to mobile is as more, if not more, profound than the shift from radio to TV. And as marketers, we no longer have the option to play catch up here, or something that we don't necessarily have to be involved in, because mobile is just growing this change. There's over 3 hours a day are spent on the mobile phone, and just in today's world, there's almost 8 billion connected devices. That's 8 billion opportunities for marketers, companies, and brands to get their message out there, which is why I start here, because mobile can no longer just be considered a technology in today's world. It's truly a consumer behavior. If you think of, look at the yellow taxi, something that 10 years ago was not even thought to be changed, and then the introduction of Uber kind of completely changed that market. Same thing with the retail store. That's where people went and found goods. You had to invest time, money, effort into making sure your box was appealing to the eye, and where you sat on the shelf in comparison to the long aisle. Those were things you used to care about. Now Amazon's completely changed it, where you have the ability to take a look at what every person who's used it before you rated it and what their thoughts are without even physically touching the item. So, again, mobile's transforming this path to purchase, as I kind of mentioned, and it should be known that the time being spent on the mobile phone is very important. Among 18 to 34-year-olds, 80% of the time spent in smartphones is within an app. So people are going to their phone, spending time on their phone in specific areas. Something we'll touch on in a little bit. But again, like I said, there's actual transactions taking place. 78% of women in their 20s say that they have made a purchase on their mobile phone. It's similar numbers with men. So the kind of paradigm of the cell phone was originally made to just communicate with each other. But now it's the opportunity to make purchases and influence decisions along the way. And with the change of mobile and the mobile phone, this convenience has unlocked closeness. With people have started messaging more than ever. Like I mentioned, the phone was originally made to make calls, but now we're seeing that the people are gravitating towards the messaging service. Look at the Facebook family of apps. We have Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all have this ability to message with each other. But when we look at just Messenger. 69% of people saying being able to message with a business is convenient. And because of that, 68% say, like, you know, having the ability to message that business makes it easy to stay up to date with what's going on, what's the new trends, or what's the new offers, especially in the automotive space. That's something we want to pay attention to. And then finally, you know, 53% say they're more likely to shop with a business because they can message them directly. And I think the reason for that is, it's that convenience, that ability to get a quick answer or be able to start a one-to-one discussion with your potential consumer. So we know they want that, and there's and the stats on the amount of businesses utilizing this are in the millions. Millions of businesses have adopted Messenger. Is this something that you guys are part of or not? And this is something C4 can directly help you guys with, is the ability to catch up and meet today's consumers on how they like to interact and how they like to reach out to potential businesses. So something to keep in mind. C4 can definitely help. Again, with this mobile phone, take a look at this. This is a snapshot of possibly your typical buyer's day. I mean, they're touching their phone or your mobile device 150 times a day. Average users coming to Facebook around that 15 to 25 times a day. So it's the first thing that they're looking at in the morning. It's the last thing they touch before they go to sleep. And all of what this is trying to tell you is these are all opportunities that you have to show up in front of your customer in order to engage, make them aware of your dealership or your brand, or tell them about the new special offer. So just look throughout the day. There are plenty of opportunities, whether it's around noon, they're eating lunch, and they have the opportunity, you know, they're checking emails, kind of surfing on their phone, or right after they get home, 6 o'clock, you know, sitting in front of the TVs, ignoring commercials, but looking at their phone. So again, all this time spent, let's look at the automotive space. Why does this matter for you? Well, the average U.S. car buyer spends about 13 hours of active research. Again, this is a U.S. car buyer. But of that 13 hours, the car buyers are coming to Facebook up to 8 times per day throughout their purchase journey. So those are the opportunities for you to start those conversations. And that brings me to, you know, the second point of our agenda, which is, where does this value of Facebook come in? You know, yeah, I understand, Brent, there's a lot of people on it, but, you know, why is it even worth some of my marketing dollars, if yet alone even a lion's share? And the reason I think that you need to start, why Facebook has become more important than ever, is the world's going through an undeniable change, and the way we market has to, you know, follow suit. It's a mobile world, and we have to approach it that way. So we're talking people-based marketing. Since people are who they are their true selves on Facebook, we now can track their behavior across devices, no matter where they are, because they created themselves a real Facebook profile where they go to be their actual selves, to connect with friends and families, and sometimes businesses as well. So looked another way, you know, traditionally we've had to kind of rely on measurement through cookies and other, you know, kind of measurement platforms, but sometimes it can fall short, because while someone may start, you know, in the morning looking on their cell phones, and maybe they see a new pair of headphones in their news feed around noon, you know, they're taking their lunch break, they're maybe on the site taking a look at other headphones, maybe they see the ad show up in their Facebook around 2 o'clock again, but then 2 days later they go and show up in a store and make the purchase. It makes it very hard to measure that interaction and multiple times that you're coming up and engaging with somebody. Whereas Facebook, you know, we can eliminate a lot of the waste, because we can follow them or whatever device they are, because they're logging into Facebook and they're being their actual selves. So where cookies can fall short is reach can sometimes be overstated. The amount of times you're actually interacting with a customer can be wasted dollars, because you're understating the amount of times that you're having that impact with a potential customer, or missed conversions. Like I said, they're hopping from device to device and maybe ending up in store in a couple days later. It makes it very hard to measure where your impact and where your dollars are going to and what's making that final result. All things that Facebook can help eliminate. And the reason for that is because Facebook's the center of discovery. This is where people go to learn about their friend's trip, to see about a life update or maybe their new job. And that's where you have the ability, as this example here, to pop up and be a part of that discussion. Crazy stat to kind of think about is, with all of this scrolling, the average consumer and the average user on Facebook scrolls about 300 feet a day. For all you if you need a kind of a landmark to put that in perspective for you, that's the Statue of Liberty per day. That's the amount of content on the phone that people are scrolling through their newsfeed, 300 feet a day. So where that comes in is this is your ability to interact with people, because people go to Facebook for different reasons than they use search. I'm a big believer in that search has a role to play in the auto space. When someone's looking for a particular car and they search for that, they're showing intent. Your results need to show up. But people don't come to Facebook for the same reason that they go to search. It's more of a personalized magazine than anything else, where they come for content that's tailored to them, and that's where your brand has the ability to interact. And why I bring that up is C4, myself, and Facebook can help you move to the strategy of tomorrow. This is how the average consumer thinks about their car buying journey. This is when you have the opportunity to really make an impact with somebody, when they got a new job and maybe they want to get out of that midsize and into a luxury model. Or they, just got married, had a new kid, now they got to get into a bigger car. Maybe they have a second car that they need so that way they can tackle a long commute with good MPGs. These are all, I would bet that most of you out there aren't thinking this way, or your marketing messages aren't going out in this direction. But this is how you want to kind of attack the market nowadays, and this is how people want to be marketed too. Remember, they don't want to be sold. And the reason I say that Facebook's the place to have these interactions is this is a graphical representation of time spent on apps that are in most people's phones. Google, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, Yahoo. All of this, again, there's so much opportunity out there to have discussions in so many different areas. But Facebook and Instagram combined equal more time spent than all of those apps. 20% of all time spent on the phone is spent in between those two apps. What that comes out to is about 1 in 5 minutes people spend on their phone are on Facebook and Instagram. So you need to be where your customers are. And this is a little State of the Union slide for all of you out there. This was based off our Q1 earnings report back in April when we released this data. 2.1 billion on Facebook, 1.2 billion on Messenger, 1.3 billion, 800 million on Instagram each month. I mean, these are just huge numbers. But if you break it down and you look at United States, about 202 million people access Facebook every month on the mobile phone, and that comes about over 155 million per day in the U.S. So there's a large opportunity and there's a large audience out there for you to have that message. But just like everything else, and not even in the automotive space, but Facebook's gone through changes as well. We've had to adopt and shift. When we first started, we were a wall of words. That was what Facebook was. It was mostly text-based. Then with the evolution of mobile and the convenience of having your camera in your pocket, Facebook had to adopt to video, and then in photos. And as we look into the future, that's when we can start talking about cool stuff like VR and AR. So as your value prop shifted, ours has as well. And if you kind of look at Facebook's roadmap of where we're going, we're constantly having to adapt and look into the future as well. So if you look at this kind of roadmap, over the next 3 years, Facebook has some work to do. We've been in the news for good reasons. We've been in the news for not so great reasons. But all of this is, we're going to invest more in our ecosystem. We're going to make it a place where people who come and spend their time on Facebook can have meaningful interactions with the people that they care about, friends, family, causes, groups, the things that matter to them. So that's where we're going to be investing in over the next 3 years, is really making this a place where people feel safe, feel comfortable coming and spending their time. Over the next 5 years, of course, we're going to be looking and making investments not only for users, but also for businesses, such as video, search, Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram. All of these things you're going to see iterations come from Facebook. And then we look into the future. This is my favorite, one of my favorite slides. It's the cool stuff. Looking at the connectivity, doing things with internet.org, such as using drones that are beaming down 3G networks in rural areas and third world countries where, getting access to the internet's no longer, something that can be denied as it's something that almost becoming a right. Getting simple information to medical information, weather reports, all the things we take for granted, things that we're working towards in order to kind of help build the community around us. And including that's going to be investments in AI, and then the VR, AR, we talk like Oculus, mobile VR, Rift in the future. So again, that's just kind of a 10-year roadmap for Facebook of where we're going to be spending our time and what we have on our horizon as well. And like I said, the value prop has shifted. Previously, when it came to Facebook, back then, like when we first were announced, it was likes, comments, shares. How engaged were your friends and family or potential friends of friends on your Facebook page? But we've moved well past that, and this is something that why C4 is having me out here today, is to help kind of make you aware that now we can do things such as drive awareness, preference, build loyalty, and more importantly, drive actual sales that can be attributed back. Like I mentioned, we've even gone through a change. If you want to take a look back just a couple of years, this is what Facebook looked like, and this was best practices for a dealership. First was, you had to build your Facebook page, then you wanted to try to find people to get to like your dealership, try to get as many likes as you can because that was going to turn into business. And then once you got enough likes, you can make some posts, and then your friends and families were going to engage off of that, and everybody else was going to see it because it was the most engaged Facebook post that you've ever made, and then that was going to drive sales via the influence of your friends and family. Well, I'm happy to say these days are over. We can actually drive real business results for you. Something that that Mary will touch on a little later and walk you through how we can do this. But more importantly, why we've made this shift is, we're in a new era. And with that, consumers today have new expectations. Think about it. 15 years ago, you probably didn't even own a cell phone. But now it may as well be, a third appendage for a lot of people. And this change in lifestyle has changed consumer expectations. We are truly in an era where the consumer is king. The rise of mobile has made it possible to do everything from the palm of our hands. We don't have to wait for a cab. We call an Uber. We don't have to go shopping. We Amazon. So the ability to personally curate and tailor everything, every aspect of our lives. It's what was previously a luxury. It's now an expectation. And the reason for that is, people want to be moved. They don't want to feel that they're being sold to. They want to feel like they're a part of something bigger. And I think the reason for that is, they're complex. Something that I'm probably preaching to the choir here, that where this complexion comes in is consumers are both individually and community minded at the same time. They want things tailored, yet they want to feel that they're a part of a group and that they're not being left behind any of the trends. So it's created this new level of activism, both new and resurfaced movements for change. So with all of this creation, it's increased a demand for accountability and transparency across the board from everyone, including corporations. They want to know where, they want to feel, again, they want to feel this enriched experience. They want to feel like they're a part of a meaningful moment or a part of a meaningful movement. So, if you're going to kind of wrap this up, I'd say, in fact, time has now become the valuable exchange of everything. You're competing for time of every customer whenever you're on Google or you're on Facebook. You're competing for that time. You're competing for those few moments where you can get your brand out. And the people who are driving this change are adults aged 30 to 45. They're redefining everything. You know these people very well. They're the focal point of every creative brief written in the automotive industry. They're full-fledged adults, stable careers, growing families. They're incredibly influential in today's economy as well. So like the rest of a consumer society, they expect an experience, and beyond, and by extension, the technology to support it is also good. And that's where, something that Facebook does really well is immediately by adopting Facebook, you're adopting a mobile strategy. And whether or not you think mobile forward or not, it's something that Facebook and Instagram can do for you. And like I mentioned, I've kind of harped on all three of these already today, these three major trends playing out in automotive. They want it hyper-personalized. They want to get the message on demand. and they want it, but that you want it on demand when it's convenient for them. That's when they want you to come in their life. And then also they want to feel this kind of desire to be a part of something greater. So again, these are those three trends I've kind of harped on previously. So when you're building your creative brief, or you're trying to think, hey, maybe I'm going to try to tackle this on my own, these are the kind of buckets that you have to be ready to play in and to meet customers where their expectations. And again, that's where Facebook fits in. We can help deliver this people-based marketing at every stage of the consumer journey, whether it's getting your dealership's name top of mind, getting them aware, to actual creating leads, driving them to acquisition, and getting them to transaction, getting them actually on the showroom floor to actually move some metal. And the great part too is with C4's help, we can help anytime someone falls out of this cycle. We can either push them right back in or build that loyalty. An example of that was, if we know that they're coming in for service and we know when that next oil change is, why aren't we hitting them with an ad reminding them to come back in? Something that Mary will touch on a little later. So again, this is, unfortunately, for a lot of us, this is how we think. This is today's strategy. And this is something that, this is how you live and breathe. This is your business. You got model launches in the beginning of the year. We had that summer sales event coming up to really kick off the third quarter. Maybe in late August, September, we'll have another launch. And then, of course, we get towards the winter and holiday season with sales events again. This is how a lot of us think, and this is often how we message as well. A kind of broad mass marketing approach of, hey, here's the new 2018, here's the new lease offer, here's the new sales offer. So while we're driving this, C4 and myself want to help move you into the strategy of tomorrow, help you identify these opportunities to start discussions with your customers. Make sure that your message is coming at this point in their life when you have the ability to make an impact and actually connect with them for the reasons why they're buying a car or why they're getting in a new lease. Most of this time, you have this information with you. And it's just about tailoring your message or working with a partner to help you kind of drive your marketing into this message. And this is all what it comes back to, is impacting 100% of your customer's journey on Facebook, from up to 12 months from buying all the way to post ownership. This is something that Mary is going to dive into a little bit later and talk you through this. But before we even get into that kind of part of the strategy, I need to kind of show how you target on Facebook. Like I mentioned, I showed there was over 2 billion people on Facebook every month. That's that's great, but what does that mean for you? Because you don't need to reach 2 billion people. For many of us, we still kind of latch on to the traditional forms of media, like print, radio, TV. They offer broad reach, which is great. You can sometimes reach certain subscribers or listeners within a particular area, but you're not always guaranteed to reach people who've got an interest in your dealership or who are even in a car buying market. That's where Facebook differentiates itself from traditional media. And that's where this people-based marketing comes in, where you can target your message to the people who actually matter to you. These are the people who are actually in market for a car. And what's important about that is this is no longer wasted dollars to the whole broad audience. You can invest your money to people who are actually ready to buy and are in your area. These are all the kind of different targeting options that Facebook offers. From location-based, demographics, what are their interests? We can even look at what their behaviors are, something I'll touch on here in a second. What kind of activity are they doing on Facebook? Are they someone who watches videos? Or do they click to the website? Well, we'll even help take care of that for you. This bottom row here, this is where the low-hanging fruit is for a lot of you. Your CRM and sales data. Did you know that you can take that and put it into Facebook and target people who you've known whose lease are coming up, or who have recently come in your service center and you want to remind them a couple months out when it's time for the next oil change? We call those custom audiences. Taking that data and creating a list that you can target on Facebook. Those are your custom audiences. And we can take it one step further and take that custom audience and replicate it. Find people who look exactly like the people who you're going after and create a new prospecting list for you, something I'll touch on shortly. So targeting is just one part of what makes Facebook unique. Like I mentioned, you can do location, interest-based, or demographics. But the behavior and the optimizing is where the other half of this equation. If you're trying to drive, just general awareness about your dealership, and you have your 30-second TV spot, wouldn't you want to make sure that you're serving that video to someone who's actually going to take the time to watch it? Facebook thinks so as well. So the combination of who you're trying to go after and what you want them to do, whether you want them to click to your website, whether you want them to hit your BDP page, whether you want them to schedule a service appointment, that's two parts of a coin to determine who will see your ad. And a lot of times, who can see your ad, there's low-hanging fruit that I mentioned that a lot of people aren't utilizing, and it's your website. Your website is a targeting machine. But oftentimes there's missed opportunity here because, as this can show, you have a whole bunch of visitors, but you're not really sure what they're doing on your site. You just know how many unique clicks you get and what the traffic is. By installing what we call the Facebook Pixel, which is a tiny line of code, onto your site, Facebook will start to bucket where your audience and where the people coming to your site are spending their time. So the reason why this is important is just these three features alone, gallery, features, and configure, kind of offer up three different kind of audiences. Think about it. The people who are looking at your gallery maybe are like at the beginning of their car buying journey. They're just trying to see what's out there. Someone looking into the features, probably a little closer to their purchase, is they're now starting to look at packages. And more importantly, if someone's actually taken time to build their own car on your site and play around with the configuration and options, they're probably much closer to buying. So the great part about it is that Pixel will help bucket those into what we call custom audiences, the 1, 2, 3 over here on the left. And the introduction of lookalikes is saying, okay, we know this is this is one type of audience that we have, that we know have been on our site, that are looking at pictures and are at the beginning of the funnel. Beginning of that marketing funnel, find me people who look like them. And Facebook will find a near perfect match of people who are in that list and basically create additional target audiences for you, as you can see on the left, where audience A turns into A, B, C, and D. That's lookalike audiences. Kind of put another way, put another spin on it. I'm a visual person, so sometimes this helps. So it's taking the data that you own, your CRM data, that sales data that you have sitting sometimes gathering dust at your dealership, or your website visitors, and create an audience, create that custom audience. What lookalike targeting does is you take that CRM, we had that sales data, he's bought three cars from your dealership, and here are 3 people that look just like him. Based off characteristics, location, all of that. You can set some of those qualifications there, but essentially we're creating a new list for you. Here's 3 people to go after who are probably in the buying market. She recently just purchased a brand new Q7. Here are 3 more people like her. So that's essentially what it's doing, is creating you a new prospecting sheet so that you can target people who are most relevant to you and, more importantly, ready to buy. So again, this is part 1. This is how you target. Next, we're going to go into, Mary's going to take you through the ad formats that C4 has found some great success with on Facebook, and that they've been kind of well molded into their strategy when it comes to dealerships. Mary, you want to take this over?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Brent. Hi, everyone. So now I am going to talk to you about, again, some of the ad formats that we offer. We've chosen 4 formats that we're going to talk to you about today, which are all very mobile friendly, as most of this webinar has been talking about mobile. And these ad formats can really align with some of the target audiences that Brent was just talking about. And like he mentioned, these ad formats are not just valuable in our eyes and C4's eyes, but also in Facebook's eyes as well. So we're going to kick it off with video ads. And just so you know, the industry is already projecting that 50% of all impressions served on mobile will be video ads. So we want to get you ahead of the curve with this trend. It's an excellent way, it's an excellent format that works well when you are trying to really connect with new customers and really building your brand on Facebook. So whether you want to use a video, maybe it's some really cool drone footage, or even just why buy messaging, why should they come to your store. Video actually allows us to really have this more larger, more attractive style of information to get in front of those potential buyers and to get you top of mind. And not only that, but on top of that, we've actually just started playing around with creating custom audiences. We were just talking about some target audiences prior to this. Off of these video view campaigns. So we can actually reconnect with those people that have already watched your video before, which is really cool and something that we can definitely start for you. So the next one we're going to jump into is Carousel, which some of you probably have seen this before, but I think it's one of the most best performing ad formats in my opinion. And this is the example shown is what it would look like on Instagram. So with Carousel ads, you're essentially paying for one piece of newsfeed real estate, just like you would a single image ad that might link to your site, but you're able to include more images and URLs, so you're really getting more bang for your buck with this. And we like to use this ad format for lease specials. So for example, we could target people who have already been to your website and now you want to show them your monthly specials, which is also something that C4 can update for you each month. Now we're going to get into the lead ad format. Again, something you might be a little bit familiar with. So it's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to messaging and what you can do with the information you receive from the ad. So I'm going to try and give you sort of a little bit of visual, if you want to close your eyes and kind of picture this scenario here. So we could essentially use your CRM list of customers who will be up for their lease in maybe 1 or 2 months, and they need to, start thinking about what they want to do next. Maybe they want to trade it in or get something different. So our messaging can talk about, the lease offers that you have. The CTA button could be a shop now or even a get quote button. So once they click onto the ad, a form will pop up and some of their information will automatically populate, and we will prompt them to submit that information directly into your CRM, which is really cool. And plus, what C4 can do on top of that is create a form that is a little bit more specific to the info that you're trying to gather from your dealership. So in this case, we could ask the question, what model are you interested in leasing? And they could, fill in the blank, and that information will also connect right into your CRM. So it's a great way to stay native on the Facebook platform, but gives you the opportunity to reach out to potential buyers, and it creates a better conversation between you and them. All right, and then the last format that we're going to talk about is collection ads, which is a little bit newer of an ad format, something that we are currently testing here at C4, and we've been seeing some exciting results. So note that this is actually just a mobile-only format, and this ad format can be used really to make it just an easier way for the customers to discover some of the products that you offer. So if they want to learn more about some of the features of a particular car, or they want to see some parts or service, and we can get into this when we talk about the consumer journey. This could also be used for a fixed ops campaign as well. And it's a fast loading, full screen experience, and it's a little bit more engaging. And then just as a reminder, these ads are also going to be shown on Instagram as well, which is great. So like Brent mentioned earlier, Facebook just recently concluded that there are roughly 800 million active users on Instagram. So this platform definitely speaks to the value that it can bring in addition to your other placements like Facebook. And so now I'm going to send this back to Brent to talk about how you can stand out when it comes to some of your creative.
Perfect. Thanks, Mary. Yeah, Mary's hit on some awesome points there, folks. And these are all things that I've worked closely with C4 on as well, that they've seen some great results. So now we know how to target. We know what ad formats to use. Now sometimes the most important question is, how do we stand out? I think the first place to start is good ads on Facebook are just good ads, plain and simple. As you look here, this was a very famous advertisement by VW that they simply just adapted for mobile. Look how just impactful it is. The thing that we want to keep in the back of your mind, and a term that we use here at Facebook a lot, is thumb stopping creative. Remember how you're flipping through 300 feet of news feed a day. So how do you stop? Well, first we need to put your ad in context. I'm sure many of you are worried about your competition. The dealer down the street, cross town, that you're constantly coming up against. Well, I'm also proud to tell you now that you are also in direct competitions with babies and waterfalls, because that's where your dealership ad has the opportunity to show up, is between where I get to see new pictures of my niece and a friend's trip to Fiji. That's where your ad's coming up. So you need to be thumb-stopping creative and kind of stand out. Tell your story as my friends and families are telling theirs on Facebook. So how do you do that? So the first and most important thing is, and something that Mary touched on, is design for mobile. Up to 80% of those ads are going to be served on that mobile news feed. So that's where you need to think first. So some other things outside of Facebook that you need to think about is your website designed for mobile traffic? Define your mobile benchmarks across your efforts. So here's what an ad would look like. You get that social context, such as what our friends and family have liked that page. You get that tight copy. Keep it tight. Shorter the better. Large and bold images, and then also consider a headline or a call to action button. As this Lincoln ad is used for learn more. Tell the user what you want them to do. Again, that's where that strong voice comes in. You have to have that strong call to action. Leverage your brand in your voice, but also don't forget to tell the customer what you want them to do. Are you wanting them to submit a lead? Remind them that you're submitting a lead for schedule a test drive. Do you want them to come to your site to schedule a service appointment? Are you trying, whatever that, or are you trying to get them to learn more? Whatever that message is, make sure it's strong and you're calling it out. Don't just assume that they're going to know what to do. Use that rich creative. Again, there's that term again, thumb-stopping creative. As you can see here, Fiat using, while their little car, they found a way to fill up almost the entire carousel box in order to kind of grab that attention. This is something that C4 can help with, right, Mary?
Yeah, definitely. And, as a reminder, we have an amazing creative team here at C4, and they're super knowledgeable when it comes to really designing creative that is going to get people excited to stop and look at that ad. So they're more than happy to, work with your account manager and put together assets that really match your dealership color scheme or, whatever you're looking to promote. And also, that will give you a step up against your competitors when, you're thinking about having more relevant creative that connects with your target audience.
Perfect. Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Awesome things that C4 can do there, is because I know sometimes that can be a struggle for a lot of dealers out there. And the final kind of tip I have for you here is make it relevant. As I showed that slide a couple times where it was showing like new car purchase journey, like a bigger family, new job, lease ending. Make sure that the message that you're going to market with is relevant to your target audience and things like season. If it's it's the middle of the summer, dog days of summer here in Austin, Texas, where I'm out of, it's 100-degree weather today. Don't show me a skiing ad with snows and snowmen. That's just not going to work for me, and I'm going to probably skip right through it. But also tie your message to regional events or even sometimes larger events like the World Cup's going on. How many of you are running, an ad highlighting the World Cup? Another consideration here and a little hint is, I know for a lot of you, your OEMs run a Super Bowl ad. How many of you are following up that Super Bowl ad with an ad of your own, kind of touching on it, or just playing, or kind of, part two to conversation with that ad? Like, you saw us at the Super Bowl, come in for a test drive. Those are the kind of cool things that you can do to make yourself relevant and to stand out. So again, play to the likes and interest and the demographic of the people that you're going to. All right, folks, as promised, we walked through why we're mobile first, what role Facebook has to play with your consumer journey. We talked through targeting. We talked through, the ad formats that you want to use and how to utilize creative to stand out. So now Mary's going to walk us through, putting us through the entire consumer journey, kind of put a nice bow on this for you with some campaign recommendations that you could start implementing today. Mary?
All right, thanks, Brent. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. We've talked about targeting, the ad formats, the creative, and now it's really time to talk about how we can put this all together for you and really create a full funnel 360-degree approach to your Facebook advertising strategy. So knowing that, C4 and Facebook can really help you target people in all stages of that buying funnel. So we're going to start here with the capture consideration phase of the buying cycle. So this is where we can really connect with people that are interested in your brand, that are also located right around your dealership. We can use that video view ad format that we were talking about before with either Wi-Fi messaging or that drone footage that we talked about, something that will capture their attention. So the goal here is to really spark the customer's interest and get your dealership top of mind. So at this point, they're still new and they're just sort of starting their search for their car. So now we're going to jump into the second point of this cycle, which is how are we going to follow through with that second message? So really now we're going to sort of shift our focus to those potential customers. So those people that are maybe 6 months out from buying or so, and showing them messaging that is a bit more relatable. Maybe it's linking to your new inventory or used inventory pages, and even using that carousel ad format with the lead specials that I mentioned earlier. So this will have a stronger call to action, like a learn more or a shop now, and it'll really encourage them to click onto your site. And it's also important to know that, most of these ads that, we're doing for you, specifically, this one, are going to be optimized for landing page views, which basically means that we are really trying to connect with the people that are more likely to wait for your site to load and stay on the site. So you may even see some pretty good on-site performance with this as well. All right, so now we are going to head into the convert shoppers phase. So now we're in that sweet spot where we can now connect with people in their journey who are super close to buying. So this is using that remarketing audience, people who have already been to your site, or it's using those CRM lists that we had been talking about earlier, even that custom audience like that video view audience that I had mentioned earlier. So we've captured their attention, we've gotten them to click to your site, and now we can essentially convert these shoppers into buyers. We can use the lead ad format that we talked about to get more information about this potential buyer, what they're looking for, and to, again, spark that relevant conversation. So now that we have, connected with people in the consideration phase all the way to the buying phase, we can think about targeting people that are now owners of your brand. So for example, we can use that CRM data, I think Brent mentioned this earlier, of the current owners to encourage them to come in for service. So we're really squeezing what we can out of this, out of Facebook's value proposition. We could use that carousel ad format that I talked about to show different parts or service offerings, or even that carousel ad format that we talked about that can show some of the different service specials and leading them to the service page with maybe, a book now button to have them book an appointment. So now we're back to where we started. Once you've targeted and filtered your customers through this cycle to buy, what's next? You want to make sure that your Facebook strategy doesn't stop at the sale. We want to have a full funnel, holistic approach to your Facebook campaigns, and we can definitely help you with that. And if after this webinar you're looking to talk more in depth and want to work on some of these strategies and work them into your Facebook advertising, definitely make sure to chat with your account manager, and myself and my team can work with them on really implementing and ensuring that these strategies are going to fit best for your dealership. So that wraps it up. Thank you everybody for attending today. Thank you, Brent, so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, no, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here, Mary, and thank you everybody for listening in. I know that was a jam-packed 50 minutes full of information, but always feel free to reach out to C4. They've done some great things here, and they've also introduced a strategy that really works. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today, and everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.